and 2020-2013, page 211. Welcome.
Kia ora koutou. So we're just here to run you through the submission that we are putting forward to the Greater Wellington Parks Network Plan. So the submission was attached to the report, but just generally up front, there's two regional parks within Kāpiti, so Queen Elizabeth Park and Akatara Regional Park. They do make up an important part of our open space network, both through the connectivity that they provide for people and environment, and for the wide range of recreational opportunities. So we have worked with Greater Wellington in the early stages as a stakeholder to provide feedback both on behalf of council, our staff, and what we know the thoughts are out in the community. So we do support the plan in principle. In particular, the focus on the ecosystem health and moving away from farming and plantation forestry we know matches the changes in our community values and aspirations. The plan does work on enhancing the trail networks, which we strongly support. By extending and connecting the networks, it will provide opportunities for our community and for tourism. You'll see in the submission that we have suggested some additional trails that could be thought about in the plan as well moving forward. Given that the plan is future focused, the next 10 years, we've asked that there be further acknowledgement included in the plan, particularly with regard to Whenua, or the ex-Perkins Farm, and the Windstone Lake site in Otaki. Whenua has large areas of land that could be used for significance for regional parks network in the future, and the Windstone Lakes provides great opportunities for recreational experiences once the quarrying has ceased further and that land comes back for other purposes. It is already being used for some recreational activities already. Thank you.
Right. Questions? Councillor Randall, first of the block, then Councillor Buswell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the report, it says that you're going to, or the Regional Council are going to open up a new entrance in Poplar Ave. Is that correct?
That is something that they're considering, and we're just making sure that they consider other aspects of that to ensure that it's done in a way that works for our community.
So whereabouts roughly position they have in mind at the moment?
Do you know that?
The indication on the plans that they've provided is sort of midway along near where the Pony Club is, between the Pony Club and the wetland area.
Thank you for your work done on the submission. My concern is that we have all these really great trails and so forth around our district, but we don't have other infrastructure to actually, I don't know, enable it to be a nicer experience, such as toilets. And I don't see in here anywhere where it mentions that. So I don't know whether there's something that could be added. Because it's all very well attracting people to these great walks and things. They could be away for hours, and they need some kind of facilities.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and we can add that to our submission around having those facilities that further enhance the activity. Yeah.
Can I just add to that? So the plan relates specifically to what are currently classified as regional parks. So the river trails, for example, will be separate to that. Would you like us to raise it as an item specific to the parks, or all of the Greater Wellington managed land through this?
Well, I think it's a problem across all the recreational facilities. But if this is specific about the parks, then so be it. But it's also a problem on our river trails too.
Can I ask, I'm looking at paragraph 13, 14 and 15. For paragraph 13, bullet point 3, the Mangatukutuku Valley. That's a really amazing place in terms of being very close to the city centre, the town centre, but having huge sort of ecological values. This particular one, and also looking at 14, the Winston Lakes and the Whenua one, are these just paragraphs that we are adding to the in the submission, or behind this have we formed what we want to be done there? Have we got a plan for each of those?
The Windstone Lakes one in particular, I've been quite involved with over recent times, so there isn't a plan there yet, but Greater Wellington are going to be undertaking a development and management plan, so we're just working on what that looks like and who's involved with that at the moment, but that will be led by Greater Wellington.
So just on that, so they are shifting from looking at it as flood management to a regional park. That's the key question, isn't it?
That's what we want them to do. So I've had conversations about whether it will be regional park. At this stage, the feeling I get that isn't supported by Greater Wellington, which is why in the submission we've pointed out under the LGA, that once the land becomes used for recreational or environmental purposes, it should be considered to be a regional park. So that's the approach that we would like to be taken, but ultimately it's up to Greater Wellington. So at the moment it's owned and managed by Flood Protection.
Okay. The other two?
The other two, no, there aren't plans as such. So not for the Mangatukutuku Valley. And sorry, was the other one you mentioned, the Whenua? So there is obviously plans and around from the group that has been set up, and we are on the outside of that, so I was having conversations with them, but that's still being led by the group at this stage.
Councillor Elliott then.
Just two questions. Firstly, I'm just wondering why Otaki Gorge parks, even before and the dock area at the back, aren't included under this. They're in our district.
It's old dockland. That's not Greater Wellington up there.
Okay, so is there any reason why Greater Wellington aren't including it in these plans?
So this is only for the land that's owned by Greater Wellington for their 8 regional parks.
It goes back to the comment I made to Angela before, that this is specific to the regional parks. So Queen Elizabeth Park and Akatara Forest Park. We've chosen to add some other recreational-based commentary to some of their river management things.
Do we know how much money annually READER spends on the promotion and visitor attraction marketing of these parks under Greater Wellington in our district?
I don't have that information, sorry. We could find out if you wanted, but I'm not aware of that.
I'd massively like to find out. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. In terms of some of the other things that are in their parks, in GW's park plan, they talk about this master planning that they're going to do for, say, Queen Elizabeth Park. Do we know what's involved in that process? Because that seems like it's almost something that I would have thought would have got taken care of in this process. It seems like there's another process to come after it. So how does that all work together?
It'll be similar to the process that we've been through, for example, with Utaroa and McLean Park. So under the Reserves Act, there needs to be a management plan. So that sets the principles around how the park is managed and the types of activities that can help there. And then they go forward to do, we've called it a development plan, but it'll be their master plan that actually sets out where activities will be and goes into that more detail around facilities and services, but what is enabled from this management plan.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a really strong submission. Have you involved the Paikakiriki Community Board and Friends of Queen Elizabeth Park in the park part of the submission?
No, we haven't. We've just gone from staff perspective. Yeah, we did send out the information, for example, for the CWB advisory group and key people, stakeholders like that, for them to make their own submission. Yeah.
Thank you, Alison, for this. Look, I've just been contacted by the Kāpiti 4x4 family four-wheel drive club, and if I could just refer to page 226, the motorised recreation and restoration segment there. And I don't know, I was going to bring this up in debate, but we seem to be having a bit of a general discussion here anyway. Look, they were a bit concerned around the access up into the area up there. They were pretty much were saying it's actually, you know, they're wanting to, well, they're not wanting, they are exercising very responsible approach to that. They noted that all access is via clubs. Currently, it is restricted access. It is permitted, and you know, I guess we in the longer term, you know, we talk about the potential adverse effect on the area. We don't even know what sort of vehicle is going to be turning up in the next 10 years. And there's sort of a bit of a lean here, sort of like nudging, shall we say, the that sort of recreational activity out of that park space. These guys aren't talking about creating new trails, they're talking about just using the existing trails. They go deep into the bush and do cleanups as such, and they would like to see a support around a more responsible approach to people that are up in there. Sort of snow. It's a little bit like beach bylaw, I guess. You know, some idiots can get up there and ruin it for a few, or for a lot, but it's only one or two, you know, a few people amount of doing it. Is there a way that we can sort of, I mean, you've said here consideration given to creating a regional significance area for the 4x4 activity somewhere more appropriate, such as a pine plantation. You know, I wouldn't want to see us sort of move away from this. This has been a fairly intrinsic part of who a lot of people live up here that go out there and do that. I just think there's the importance of, rather than seeing it move, just ensuring that it is managed, and perhaps putting some wording in there that you know, does take note that it is currently managed, and that it's important that the monitoring of that is on the uptake, and perhaps these clubs can be used as part of that monitoring process, perhaps.
I definitely take your point, and 4x4 is a hard activity to accommodate in a way that balances looking after the environment, keeping other users safe and feeling welcomed in that environment, and providing a space for them. And that was what we were really trying to accomplish in that. There are areas up in Ikatara forests that are key biodiversity areas that we do want to protect. And some of the feedback that we get is people don't want to go there because they feel unsafe because of the 4x4. So we're really just trying to balance the need to protect the space, but also provide access for 4x4. But if the general feeling is that we would like to change the wording to be more the way that you've said, then we can do that. I do feel like we do have a responsibility to also protect the environment and to pass those comments on as well.
And I think you'd find the 4x4 club would fully support that concept as well. And like you said, there's people that are feeling safe up there. I dare say it'll be people that aren't associated to these sorts of clubs. It's how do we necessarily manage that? Yeah, because, you know, in some ways restricting it still might not have the effect of decreasing that problem, so to speak. And the responsible users are the ones that are penalised, so to speak. And yeah, that would be much appreciated.
Councillor Holbrook.
I just wanted to touch on the Whinstone aggregates area that you've suggested should be a park. Does that include the Ashford Park future, it hasn't happened yet, I don't think, extension? And have you had any conversations? There's a steering group, I understand, around that. And the third question is, you said that the rest of the lakes are allocated as flood protection. My understanding is that the Ashford Park extension was recreational and ecological rather than flood protection in the decision.
So the Ashford Park space is owned by Whinstones, so it's not part of the Greater Wellington network. The space that Greater Wellington owns is currently still under lease with Whinstones. I think they've got another 20 years there, but they're not quarrying there anymore, so use is starting to be more towards the recreation site.
Also, the reference to flood protection was that it's under the management of the Rivers team as opposed to the Parks team at Greater Wellington who've produced this plan. So it's about aligning those, trying to get more alignment between those two management areas.
So rather than waiting for debate, I'm strongly supportive of that approach, and I think we should really be thinking to the future too, because presumably that other land will go up for sale once the quarrying activities are finished, and then there'll be the opportunity for some even further recreational and ecological benefit in the area. So I think it's quite important that that site is maintained as that recreational facility.
Jocelyn Pravanov.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Alison and Jamie, for putting together this really detailed submission. Having spent quite a lot of time going to a lot of national parks and smaller parks in the US, one of the things that they do really, really well over there is outdoor education, and so I'm just wondering whether or not there's an opportunity here to write, to include something in there around having about outdoor classrooms, and not only using it to go walking and cycling and to look at stuff, but to actually, just open it up a bit more. So the concept of an outdoor classroom and education, I think would sort of just add to the whole use and I suppose activities that such parks can be used for. I don't know whether the other parks in the country sort of have that concept, because you have these great little booklets. They do it very, very well over there, and it's something that's not really
there are multiple references to approaches to education in the parks in their plan, but we can certainly add something that endorses that more fully as an approach to our submission.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Otherwise. Okay, and somebody move recommendation 2728 on page 218. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Buswell. Oh, Greater Wellington. You're right with that?
I'm very relaxed. I'll step down. I don't need to second that.
Oh, so. Yes. So it's moved by Councillor Compton, seconded by Councillor Elliott.
Okay.
No, you write the intro. They're ready to get out.
I'm attracted to it. I just wanted to thank the staff for their submission on this. Queen Elizabeth Park in particular is sort of considered the jewel in Wellington's crown in terms of regional parks. And I remember as a kid growing up, many happy memories coming up there, not least because my dad is a tram nut and the country's best and only purpose-built tram museum is there. And one day they may run again in Wellington. So, yeah, I think it's fantastic. As you mentioned, I think a lot of the stuff that we might want to see pursued in it is going to come through in that master plan discussion. So obviously really keen to be involved in that process as well, because I think Queen Elizabeth Park, it is, as I said, it's really unique. There's amazing history from a tangata whenua perspective, from what happened, the development we heard this morning in terms of the drainage works and all that was so instrumental to connecting the coast to Wellington. You've got obviously World War II and all the military camps around there, the more recent stuff in terms of how Wellington's heritage is preserved there in the Tramway Museum, and all the recreational activities, and actually the natural flora and fauna that's being restored there as well. There's some of the only remaining stands of some native trees there. The name's escaping me. Thank you. So, it's hugely important in terms of our ecological history as well. And there's a massive, obviously, opportunity in terms of climate change and storing carbon back into those wetlands that were drained as well. And that's obviously a big importance to Greater Wellington, but also us as a community too. So, I'm really happy to support the submission.
Right. Recommendation 2728 moved by Councillor Compton, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Anybody else want to debate on this? Or I'm going to put this. All those in favour say aye. Those against, carried. You can move now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, we're now on item 8.5, Triennial Training and Development Framework, page 232.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take the report as read and invite any questions through the chair.
Questions? No? McCann, then Compton.
Some of us need more training than others, certainly in manners, I'm told. But one of the things, I just have a question because I can't remember, was there consultation with councillors around and for feedback around our initial training as councillors? Did that actually occur?
So, no, in answer to that question. So the consultation that's happened in terms of training with councillors happened in the last triennium with the last triennium's councillors, and that feedback was incorporated as much as possible into the both the induction and the planned training programme that you see before you today. I stress that what's in the report and the proposed training programme before you today is based on our budget currently. So the intention is to be able to provide members with the opportunity to consider a broader framework of training, because what's presented today is essentially core training for elected members, really what's recommended by LGNZ and other bodies in terms of key training and skill sets for elected members. And beyond that, we don't have the budget to drift. It would be marvellous to be able to do that, and therefore before that paper comes in terms of an LTP bid, we would look to consult with elected members to get feedback on other training opportunities.
So just to clarify, that would mean that we would be consulted about the potential training for next triennial's councillors. Of course, everyone here is going to get voted back in, but assuming that that doesn't happen and that we'll have a new bunch.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. This sort of follows on, and I guess you've touched on a little bit on this. One of the things that was identified in the independent organisational review was about Te Ao Māori training for elected representatives. So that's something that would come through in that LTP bid process as well?
It certainly could be one of the things, yes, and I'll make another note now.
Perfect.
Janice.
Sorry, I pressed the button at the wrong time and it turned green. Sorry, just to add to what Leanne was saying, should through the LTP process the budget for elected member training be increased, we would look to make changes to the program within this current triennium. So it wouldn't necessarily be a case of what what you would lock in today potentially would last for the rest of the triennium, because obviously our LTP bid would be addressing years that remain in this current triennium. And then in terms of Te Reo Māori, Te Ao Māori and other opportunities there, I have asked our iwi partnerships team to come up with some opportunities that we could do in-house to offer elected members sooner than what we would be able to do through an enhanced training program. So you can expect us to come back to you about that within the next little while.
So in my experience, it's a little bit unusual to be assigned training or personal development in this way. However, it is what it is today, and if we are interested in doing a particular type of course, do we say that now?
Yeah, we've got some options there with regards to meetings and all that sort of stuff. If the dates that these are available on would be much appreciated, so you can sort of have a look at your diary, see whether you can even do them or not. So we'd be much.
Could I just clarify, in terms of the LGNZ training, we wouldn't be able to provide dates because we would only arrange that training once elected members have approved the training programme. Oh, absolutely, yes, understood.
Things that you can, sure.
Sure,
the
yes.
ones you can't.
Item recommendation 26. The mayor has to go, so you've got 3 other council positions. Anybody interested? The last time there was. Well, that's the other thing. Do we know when the date is? Because people have their own programs.
It's in, pretty sure it's in Christchurch because it was meant to be in Christchurch. It's usually in July. The reason for that is most councils take a hiatus in July. And so there are reasons why we line those breaks up so that things like LGNZ can be accommodated. So we can get you the dates, but I can assure you I can just about guarantee it'll be around mid-July, give or take 10 days. How's that?
So, Liane, can we park this until much later? Or because there's going to be 3, right? 3 positions. It'll be fixed. We don't know who will be available by that time. Oh, there you go. Okay, fine. I'm just saying, you know. Attendance at 2021 Local Government New Zealand Conference.
It should say conference.
Yeah.
I thought somewhere in the report it says the people that should be going to the conference should be 3 new councillors. The new councillors should.
No, I think.
And one triennium.
Yeah.
One triennium. All councillors should attend. That's my understanding of the report. Am I correct or not?
There's no obligation on any councillor to attend. We certainly had 1 or 2 councillors last triennium who didn't attend the entire triennium. So it's certainly personal preference whether councillors would like to attend IOD training, whether councillors would like to attend conference. It's very much down to individual desires.
But also the fact is that a lot of the times councillors who never had a chance before can put up their hands, which I think is a good idea.
The accepted wisdom was to try and share it around so that over a triennium everybody had the opportunity of at least attending one. That hasn't always played out because there hasn't always been people wishing to go. Just jumping in, 15th to the 17th of July 2021 in Marlborough, in Blenheim.
Right, you got the date now. Is that PWD's territory? No, Nelson. Next door. Right, okay, so who's putting the hands up? Jocelyn Pravno. Martin Holiday. Deputy Mayor. Anybody else? Okay. Oh. Angela Buswell. There's 4 now, for 3 positions. So you've been before, right? Yeah. So Martin Holiday, Councillor Pravno, and Janet Holbrook. We agreed on that? Cool. To put someone who was available. That's right.
Anyone else who wants to go, really, really wants to go, you can pay yourself and go. That's when you start to the booking.
Really, really want to go.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
See, can we go to the Solgum annual conference? Because I know some mayors are allowed to go to the Solgum annual conference if they apply.
Oh, please. Pretty please. You can be a wallflower.
Shall we set up a separate room for...
Oh, be good.
Yeah.
Which we do the annual conference anyway. We have separate ones. Okay, now looking at 27, this is the director's course, right? 2 positions. Can you explain what the director's...
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there are a number of training courses offered by the Institute of Directors, and one of the appendices does show the variety of courses that are provided. The calendar has changed a couple of times. It may well change again, but this was the calendar at the point of preparing the report. And to clarify, there are actually 3 opportunities for councillors, 3 councillor spaces.
So it's not 3, it's not 2.
It's 3.
So, Jackie, Makan, you're thinking seriously. Right. In the meantime, Angela Buswell.
I'm also just aware that I had an opportunity for other training through a different fund through the liquor, so I just don't want to take an opportunity if someone wants.
So we've got Jackie Elliott and Councillor Buswell and Martin Holiday. Okay. Can you note that? Um, 28 is the recertification. Councillor Harborough is the hearing commissioner chair, or you approve certification for another councillor as the hearing commissioner.
Will they reimburse our money if they revoke the RMA?
Well, if they... Yeah. No, look, what I'd like to do is actually encourage the new councillors to take this course up. I won't go for recertification if somebody else wants to go. It's a really, really good course to do. Councillor Elliott, you've got a question.
Yeah, but you've just noted that the Deputy Mayor are coming up for recertification. Are you absolutely sure that our Jocelyn's and mine are okay throughout this year and not going to lapse? Has that been double checked? Because I would hate for ours to lapse without us being aware of it.
I can certainly double check, but it was checked in preparation of the report. Yes.
Okay,
I'll definitely double check.
Yeah, that's great.
So, Councillor Harborough, do you want to be recertified, or do you want to let somebody else have a go?
I'd like to be recertified. I know that some of the hearings, the staff are keen for somebody with a bit of experience to sit on there. So, in case we get any sticky ones come through, I think it'd be good for me to remain certified.
Okay.
It lasts 5 years too, so it's good value for money.
Mine, I don't mind anybody else, the new councillors, putting their hands up for that one for 29.
We do have Resolution 30 where we can put 240.
Are we allowed to be supplied
But,
with more information before we...
yeah, but don't forget, I mean, Chief Executive just reminded me there are 2 more on recommendation 30. We've got 2 more councillors as hearing commissioners. The other 2 is mine for recertification and General Harborough for recertification, or 2 new other councillors. So Janet said she wants to be recertified. I'm okay if somebody else wants to be certified.
And again, if I may, Mr. Mayor, this is for 1 year. And, I'd strongly encourage that everybody shares it around and thinks ahead and goes, well, if not this year, then I might want to put my hand up next year for that sort of thing. So that everyone has a fair share of the training budget, limited as it is.
Can I reverse that and go to 30 and say, are there 2 councillors who want to be nominated to go for the hearing commissioner's course? 2 councillors. Martin, you're 1. Yep. Anybody else?
I think we'll have to do it next year.
Okay. So there's 2. Sophie and Martin. Okay. Right, so that's done. So we just go back to, Councillor Holbrook, you want to be recertified? And so mine, is anybody else wanting to be certified? Not that I don't want to be, I'd love to be. But if there's any councillors who want to take it on, because I fully recommend new councillors doing this, it actually disciplines your thinking. Which is, it's all budget bound.
A bit.
Okay, look, so everybody's mucking
not
around.
Significantly.
So,
can I?
no, okay, look, I will recertify.
Would you?
Yep.
Can I just clarify, Mr. Mayor, please? So for 30, did we have councillors Halliday, McCann next year, and Councillor Handford? Did I make up Councillor Handford?
You got Martin and Sophie.
Okay.
And then the following years, you're looking at someone. You're just flagging it for this round. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I highly recommend that the mayor does the chair's course, because the people that you're sitting around the table with are people with, when you do the course, are people with longer experience, and the conversation is a little more in depth. So it's a bit more worth doing, and if it doesn't cost that much more, then the benefit from it will be disproportionately greater.
So if we change the wording of recommendation 29, that council approves the certification of Mayor K. Gurunathan as hearing commissioner chair, that should cover that.
The last one was like, well, I had a short time in cramming. Yes, right. Right, okay. I think we've sort of. Can you go through each one? So, recommendation 25, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, sorry. I'm moving it. Seconded by Councillor Holbrook. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Recommendation 26. I'm moving. The council approves the attendance of the council by the mayor, Janet Holbrook, and who else?
Councillors Pravanov and Halliday.
Pravanov and Halliday. All those in favour say aye. Aye.
Can I just clarify who seconded that? Because Councillor
Same person.
on the list.
Oh.
So perhaps it was Councillor Buswell.
Councillor Buswell. 27. The council approves the IOD course attended by councillors. Who are they?
Elliot, Buswell and Halliday.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Janet? All those in favour say aye. 28. Recertification of Councillor Holbrook as hearing commissioner's chair. I moved it. Angela Buswell seconded. All those in favour say aye. The council approves the recertification of the mayor. K. Gurunathan has hearings chair. Somebody move. Yeah, that's one. The certification. Moved by Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor Compton. All those in favour say aye. And the last one, the council approves the certification of Holiday, McCann. No, not McCann. Holiday and Sophie.
Councillors Halliday and Handford.
I move that. Seconded by Councillor McCann. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Done. So that's really good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, item 8.6, amendments to the council delegations of chief executive and staff, page 238. Has anybody read the fine print? You're not sneaking in the powers of the staff, are you?
Not that I know.
Not that you know. Yes, right. It's a lawyer.
It's a legal answer.
It's a legal answer.
I did not inhale.
Look, I'm through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to take the paper as read and open up for questions.
Okay. Any questions? No? Somebody move 32 and 33. Councillor Holbrook moved it, seconded. Councillor Buswell. Major debate, open for debate now. Nobody. Is it moved? So all those in favor say aye. Okay. Don't come back and say you found something in the fine print, okay? Item 8.7, elected members' remuneration expenses and allowance policy, page 248. Diane, is it Diane? Welcome back. Yep.
Right, any questions through the chair?
All those in favor say aye. Done. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm not in favour. Please report me as I abstain.
Yeah, so just note that. Abstain. Thank you. No, your name didn't pop up here, so I didn't see it. Item 8.8, Public Art Panel Appointments, page 307.
Right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, hopefully the report is self-explanatory, so if I just take it as read and open it up to questions.
Any questions? No.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I note with the Economic Development Kotatanga Board, we've got a representative from each individual iwi on that. Has there been a view from iwi that there should be a similar arrangement for the Public Arts Panel, or are they happy with the current single representative on it?
Interesting question.
Have I kicked the hornet's nest,
it's not a conversation that that I have had or aware that council's had with each iwi. So the terms of reference are still at the stage where there's a representative from Te Waka Minginga. So at this stage, until things change, that's the process that will follow.
If I just having access to slightly more history, the historical agreement was that they were comfortable, as I understood it, with a single representative for this panel. So it's quite right that the comment that we haven't revisited that, but we are comfortable that when this was initiated, everyone was happy in that instance with a single representative, especially given her close relationship in terms of who the appointee has been in recent times with art across the district.
Yeah, I just wanted some clarity. In relation to exactly that, numbers 26 and 27, does this mean that the committee cannot convene, because there is no TWOC member in there at the moment, if I can mean a member in there at the moment. So does that mean the committee is on hold? Because it says here that the committee cannot convene until, does that mean the committee can't convene until a TWOC member is in place?
So yes, we can. The quorum for it is a straight numbers.
That was my next note down here.
Yep.
So will this art panel be moving forward, and then Te Whakamina will put forward a person when they've sorted out who that person potentially will be?
Yes, and then the recommendation 40 and 41 was really to deal with that. So they will come back with a formal nomination. We're proposing, instead of bringing another report back to council, that in principle council accepts their recommendation, and we will then advise council when we receive that formal nomination.
And could I answer Councillor Hobler, with regards to you on the arts panel at the moment, have they already started doing any communication for this year? Because I know we're 12 months into this triennium, that's all. Right, and now we'll move forward from here, will it? Cool.
In the meantime, fortunately, there have been a couple of items to progress, namely the Tohora sculpture and the mural in Mahara Place. So we have had some activity in this area regardless, which is good.
Just a follow-up one that just sort of popped into my mind. Given Te Atiawa isn't part of Te Wakaminga at the moment, how are their views going to be captured in terms of the art panel discussions? I realise it's quite a curly question, and I don't expect you to have an answer right now, but it's just something to consider, because we obviously still have obligations to them, even if they're not part of Te Wakaminga. So,
I understand. I think it's part of a wider discussion that probably council needs to have. In terms of the panel, we have the terms of reference, and as the chief executive says, we're following that. Potentially, it could be that depending on if there's an art submission or something like that, we may need to do it on a more informal basis, in terms of having a discussion with not only with Te Atiawa but with other stakeholders, if there's a commission coming up, for instance.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say that I really look forward to getting this panel going again and getting underway with some good projects. Particularly, I noticed stuck on a little page right at the bottom of our report on recovery was redoing the art strategy, and maybe we can have some discussions about that as well.
All those in favour say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 8.9, Annual Report on Dog Control Policy and Practice, page 317.
Kia ora again. Again, this is the annual report on the dog control policy and practice. So we will again, through you two, take this as read and move on to questions.
Can you tell me something about the appeals committee? That's almost like redundant, is it?
So the appeals committee is set up to receive any objections to classifications such as menacing classification or dangerous classification or for barking. So we actually haven't had any objections to classifications. So it's not redundant, it's just not needed, hasn't been needed.
Yep, but it's there if needed. Yep. Councillor Randall.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question relates to dog poop removal. I think even myself or Councillor Hanford wrote to you about this matter and have it climate-friendly poop bags. And I also wrote to Alison Laws asking putting more disposal bags, more disposal receptacles in certain key places. Any feedback on that, please?
So we're actually looking at working on some biodegradable sort of bins that work where you can open a lid and pop your poop and it biodegrades, but there's got to be a lot more work for those at dog parks. But ultimately, any decision that we would make about having more dog poop stations, biodegradable bags, and more biodegradable bags would probably be something we would need to consider during fees and charges. We're looking at a increase of we spend about $15,000 to $18,000 now on bags, and it's about 3 times the cost for the biodegradable bags, and the biodegradable bags have failed. So the disgusting topic, but the hands, the cornstarch bags, when you go to collect the excrement, they break. And there's there's also a bit of debate around whether the biodegradable bags are actually as biodegradable as what they say they are. So yeah, so we're definitely looking into options at this stage.
Yeah. Right, Councillor McCann.
Thank you for sharing that story. It's conjured up another council meeting with horses that we all want to revisit. I just want to say thank you very much for the report. I do want to just emphasise how important I think as councillors it was that we were taken to the dog pound and got to see that and actually see how important it is, and that we really do recognise that there are a significant number of dog owners who require that company within our community, me being one of them.
Martin Holiday.
Hi. Look, just wanted to ask a couple of questions around enforcement of dog off leads, which is obviously pretty contentious. But do we have a roving officer that keeps an eye out for dogs off leads as such?
We've actually got the team leader sitting in the back there. Would you like to talk to that one, or would you like me to? Would you like to talk to that, Lee? No, come on. Come up, Lee. Come on.
Sorry, Lee.
He used to work for the police department.
So as a team leader, there is myself and 5 full-time animal management officers that are working on a 7-day roster as well as the after hours. So a few months ago, coming out of COVID, with issues that we had around dogs off lead, mainly in the beaches, mainly because people were at home and we saw a real increase in that sort of activity. On the back of that, we initiated a more directed patrol approach to the main areas where dogs were required to be on lead, but we were seeing increased complaints about them being off lead in those areas. So basically we, as a group of staff now, do directed patrols at all of those locations. We've got a process in place for dealing with the dog owners that are in breach of that part of our bylaw, where there is a verbal warning given to them at the time, more of an educational type thing. However, their details and their dog details are recorded. On a second occasion, there would be a formal written warning, and on a third, we would look at infringement if that was the right way to go. The reason why we've put more of a 3-step process in place for that is because there's no specific infringement in the Dog Control Act for having your dog off lead in a non-lead area. It's classed as a breach of a bylaw, which is a $300 fine. So recognising that as being a reasonably steep infringement amount is why we've tried to go through a more of a progressive way of dealing with it. and we focus more of our attention on the areas where we are either seeing more off-lead issues. The last few months, not so much the beaches, it's been more places like Otaki Cemetery, some of the river walkways, Wharimaku stream walkways and those sorts of places, and particularly around the estuary, which has its own issues in regards to working with DOC around what their rules are for the scientific reserve.
That's great. I've had a call from Paraparaumu as well, but it's a bit like, I guess, the Marine Reserve, if you like. Well, there is a tie-in in regards to lack of reporting. So encouraging people to report means that statistical data can be built up in these areas. Is that a helpful solution, that if people are seeing dogs off leads or coming across dogs off leads, that they do report it to council, so that at least that statistical information can be captured?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, absolutely. Because all of those service requests that come in, whether it's just to give us that information or it's a complaint or however it's reported to us, they all go through me, and then that does lead to how we then direct our patrols. So I'm aware a couple of weeks ago we received one regarding the Kaitawa Reserve. So then if we were to see that as being a problem, we would start to spend more time there. At the moment we're really focusing on the areas where we've either had a number of complaints or we're aware ourselves that those are problem areas. I would say in the next month or two, we'll start focusing more on the beaches, because they will become, Waitangi Beach, Paraparaumu Beach will start to become the hot areas for that sort of activity.
There's been a dog attack or something along that sort of line, but I don't want to get that mixed up, that you prefer people that if there is a dog attack or something included, to call straight away, not put a service request in. You know, those more urgent matters, a phone call versus, a statistic, just reporting something because you've seen it, maybe just using Antenio or something along that sort of line.
Dog attacks in particular, for us, there's a requirement that we at least respond or take some sort of action within the first hour of receiving that type of complaint. It is a little more difficult for us to follow up if it's historic, if it's taken a day or so for it to come through to us. We do get notified by members of the public that they've seen something on social media or whatever, and then we will try and follow up as best we can. But in most cases, if we're going to carry out an investigation that we're going to get an outcome from it, it does tend to need to be from either one of the dog owners, particularly the victim, or a direct witness to the attack. But we'll follow up on the ones that come to us third hand as well. We don't always get such a good result there, but reporting those incidents to us straight away is.
But it was a great result that you actually tracked down the owner. The person that was injured was talked to in that sort of scenario and that sort of thing. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.
Councillor Compton.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, you've got this new statistic on page 322 for the total number of dogs believed to be in the district. So presumably you've got obviously the registered dogs, and then you sort of, I guess, are you applying like a guesstimate as to how many unregistered dogs there might be on top of that, or?
Yeah, so it's often based on stats from the year before as well. So the report just requires us to report on registered dogs in our district, but from the previous year we might have a number registered, but we also sort of are aware of probably a group that are still unregistered and believed to still be in our district. So it's more of an idea of total number of dogs actually in Kāpiti, whether they're unregistered or registered.
So you have mentioned the fact that you do your patrols in particular places, because which are these places?
So we've got lots of hotspot locations.
Yeah.
Lee's probably better at commenting operationally where those are at the moment. He will have more of an idea. Hotspot locations.
So apart from the beaches, which are primarily the areas where, depending on the winter or summer hours, we have issues, Raumati Beach out from the Garden Road area, Paraparaumu Beach from the boating club south to Toru Road, Waitangi Beach from the boating club north to the stream. Those are the sort of three beach areas that dogs off lead in an on-lead area. We have the Waitangi Estuary Scientific Reserve, the Waitangi Walkway up the river and the Otahanga Domain, Wharimaku Stream Walkway, which runs all the way from Raumati Beach, basically up to the council buildings here, Kaitawa Reserve, in Waitangi, around the lagoon areas, Waimanu Lagoon, Park, Waitangi Park off Park Avenue, and then in Otaki, it's Otaki Cemetery is primarily the location there. They're the main areas. There's about 9 that are our main directed patrol areas at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Martin, you got another question?
Yeah, look, I'm just noting on the statistics here, you're certainly seeing a trend downwards with regards to incidents in all aspects, actually. What do you think that's attributed to? Education or general awareness or anything in particular at all, do you think?
I guess it's my opportunity to put a plug in for the staff, but I think, I think the team are doing a better job at managing our high-risk dogs and dog owners and taking proactive action early as opposed to reacting. I hate looking at this every year because I'm scared to see that the stats are going to, it doesn't take much to peak the stats, but or it doesn't take much for a bad dog owner to move into our area or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we've been, for the increase in the amount of dogs across our district over the last 4 years, we've certainly not seen an increase in the service requests that we would normally expect to see, down to the staff.
Right, no other questions. So I'm going to move recommendation 17. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Halliday. It's really good to see this report because previously, I mean, this is a highly volatile public perception area. Things can go really bad in this area. So well done that we haven't had any incidents. Touch wood. So it's moved by myself. Who seconded? Councillor Halliday. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Can we finish off the reports and recommendations from the Standing Committee and Committee Boards? 811, page 355.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take the report as read. There are 2 recommendations, both from Otaki Community Board, on 27 and 28, and then the recommendation that Council receives the report.
Any discussions on the recommendations? No. Somebody like to move 27? Councillor Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to the Chief Executive. I mean, Mr. Chief Executive, you prepare the agenda for this meeting, and I notice time after time the reports from community boards and other standing committees are always dealt with last. Couldn't it occasionally it be put in the middle or at the beginning?
Thank you, Councillor. There's an agreed protocol under standing orders in terms of the sequence of agendas. I'm just quickly looking for it. Appendix 10, sample order of business, which we follow.
Yep.
We're always happy to respond to suggestions like that, but yeah, we just tend to follow best practice.
Thank you. This relates to the recommendation from the Paraparaumu Community Board about the 10-minute parking restriction. What is the parking restriction outside the community at the moment? In my head, I had the feeling it was 10 minutes.
You need a business permit.
Ah, okay.
They should be removed. But I don't mind amending that to 4 car parks. No, seriously.
I think I have to check the lady from the the recommendation, and it's not to change the recommendation or anything like that at all, but one thing that was brought up was the signs in that business parking area are blue, as in similar to the other signs, yet there's quite a substantial fine involved with that, whether there's some way that there could be a colour change or something that's done to the sign that just makes people look at it and not think it's just the same sign as everyone else, every other one.
Law and order. Law and order.
Thank you. Yes, I've also spoken to Kerry over at the Kāpiti Food Bank, and they're happy at the moment with the 10-minute. That's for people to pick up quickly and go away from the food bank. But in hindsight, she would have liked 15 minutes, but happy to wait until the traffic bylaws coming up for review at the end of the year. So happy to work through that process. And also with the signs, I've spoken to Glenn O'Connor around that. The signs have to be blue. There's some criteria around what the signs are by NZTA, but Glenn's looking at having a sign so when you come in from Nahina Street around, that maybe he can put another sign on the other side of, because it faces one way, so it'd have a double-sided. So Glenn was looking at that. Thank you.
Do we know how many business parking permits are currently for that area? I say that because the business parking permits were put in when it was a really, I want to say, vibrant area with lots of different business activity there. So, you know, where it was active with lots of tenants, it's now only got potentially a couple of tenancies in there. Do we know how many? Because, I mean, do they even use the business permit?
That's certainly a question that can be taken away. It's not something that I could answer, unfortunately.
Recommendation 29, I move. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Holbrook. All those in favour say aye. Carried.
Wisha, I have a question for, just about the previous paper on the training, and it's a very general question.
Okay.
Is this appropriate?
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if we have opportunities during the year to attend industry-related conferences and there is a cost involved, is there still budget available for that?
The budget is fully used in terms of the training. There is a small conference attendance budget, so potentially we will be able to include additional things under that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Homegrown.
I was thinking more of the Wasteman's trade conference.
Homegrown. That's performing arts, right? Yes. Right, confirmation of minutes.
It's not a waste of time.
9, page 264. Any changes? Any? No. We'll come back to that point after this. Right. Any changes? No. Any mistakes? No. Recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting on 27th August 2020 be accepted as a true and accurate record of the meeting. I move it. Seconded by Councillor Holbrook. All those in favour say aye. Okay, done. Now we go back now to item 8.1, Paraparaumu Airport Waitangi Tribunal Claims, page 6. Would the Chief Executive would like to talk to the report? Good idea. Good idea. So I can make a call.
I don't want to sit there going.